Produced by Victoire.
Masters of Wrestling gives a special thanks to Mr. Jesse Hernandez and the EWF. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stylin with Rico and Emir. Let's make our formal introductions to everybody. I am one of your co-stars, the Master Emir, along with my co-star. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a former WWE Tag Team Champion. He is a former OVW Champion. He is a former American Gladiators Champion. He's a WWE and AEW superstar. Ladies and gentlemen, the stylist, Rico Constantino.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We are glad you're here. And my gosh, I couldn't be more excited.
We're very excited to be back here with you, but what would make us even more excited, Rico, tell them what they have to do.
Well, first, hit that subscribe button. Hit it right now. It's a little red thing. Just hit subscribe.
That's right.
Like it, and you need to share it because everybody needs to hear what we have to say. We got a lot to say on this show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. WrestleMania 41, WrestleCon. Holy mackerel. John Cena 17.
Yeah.
17 world
I know.
champion.
Yep.
Oh my God. He
Yep.
surpassed everybody.
He surpassed the nature boy, Mr. Joe Rogan status himself, Ric Flair.
He
Yep.
did.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And if you remember, I think I called that a few episodes ago.
I do remember that you called that, Rico, and I unfortunately made a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. I honestly thought that Cody was going to go over here, and I thought Cody was going to turn heel. My predictions were wrong, alas, but I do think that Cody will turn heel down the line. I do believe that. That's my prediction. But
He's got to.
before we go into those predictions, Rico, and everything else, let's make those announcements. Fans, if you want some memorabilia from Rico, hold up that gorgeous 8x10 that you have from WWE right there.
Ta-da!
Right there, ladies and gentlemen. Vintage Rico Constantino from WWE right there. These 8x10s are available. All you need to do is write us in. You can slap a super chat, a super thanks, or use the Cash app. I'll put the link in the bottom of this video. You'll see it right here. Rico, how much can fans get a hold of those 8x10s from you, including shipping, by the way?
$50.
$50, including shipping and handling. And I'll
personalize it.
Personalized signature on those too. And I tell you what, I'm going to match that. But Rico, I'm going to go a little bit less than that because you were in the WWE. I will be there one day, but the Master, you know this guy very well, Rico, right here.
Oh, I don't like that guy.
Yeah, you know this guy very well. The Master, I will also be
I like him and I love him.
Thank you, Rico.
Well, WrestleCon, we had a little discrepancy.
Yes, we did, Rico. We did have a discrepancy. We'll get into that. We will get into that. I wanted to make one other announcement right here. They have arrived. The official Stylin, the podcast t-shirts. You can see right there with Rico and the Master Emir. These are also available. If you want one of these, again, use the Cash app or use the super chats. They are $45, including shipping and handling in the United States. If you're overseas, please send us an email and we'll recalculate those shipping costs for you. Rico, let's dive right into the topics this week because there's so much to talk about.
I'm diving.
We're deep diving in. And also Odin's right there, ladies and gentlemen, right there in the background.
Odin.
He's right there.
Yep.
The greatest Dane of all, right there.
That's my rescue.
Yeah.
That's my rescue.
Oh, speaking of rescues, Rico, do you want to talk about the animal shelter right there in Phoenix right now, or do you want to wait until you get that details, or do you have it?
Let me wait till I get the details. And
Champions, they're not born in the gym. It starts from the inside and it works its way out. Do you feel it more difficult to obtain muscle? Are you tired or perhaps depressed? Then there's a solution. Our brand new partner and sponsor, Care Aesthetics of La Quinta, are here to help you get restored to optimal health. Just use the contact information in this video and schedule your free consultation. Be sure to mention the name of the podcast, whether that be Power and Glory, Stylin, Masterclass, or Hey Roma, when doing so. We wish you all the best in your road to optimized health. And now, back to the show.
And they should be coming forward. Like I
Okay.
said, we're recording and I'm waiting for further information.
Okay.
But there is a dire need for an animal shelter in Phoenix. They're about to close and they have 50 animals that have to be placed or else they're going to be euthanized, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get Odin before he was euthanized, and he's he's fit wonderfully here. He's a wonderful dog, and there's a lot of wonderful animals in shelters,
Mhm.
and people just need to reach out to shelters and find the animal they want, dog, cat, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and I've said before on the podcast, we have 3 Great Dane rescues, and even my horse for the cowboy mounted shooting, I rescued
Yeah.
at the Three Willows.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the way to go. Rescue animals in need because they're put there not by their own, they're put there by people who have abandoned them,
Yeah.
and doesn't mean they abandon them for bad reasons. It's just people run into struggle. They can't keep the animal, but they want the animal taken care of, and I think it's good that you search an animal shelter, horse, dog, cat, before you go buy from a breeder or something like that, because you can rescue an animal. And Odin has been a wonderful pup. He's only 2 years old and he's going to grow for another 2 years. I got him at 108 pounds, bones everywhere. And I just weighed him last week. He's 121 pounds,
Yeah.
which, taking care of him, his spirit is gentle. He doesn't leave my side. And I think people need to think about that first.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. I agree with you, Rico. We adopted our cat from a rescue as well, so, and I encourage that. I second Rico on that one, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for a pet, the shelters are the place to go. These are animals who need homes,
yep,
and they're available there. And before you go to a breeder, consider a animal rescue, a shelter. But we'll give more details as they come in on Rico with the shelter that's in need in Arizona right now. We'll switch gears right now, though, Rico. We'll discuss the namesake of our wrestling podcast, the professional wrestling world, and we'll dive into WrestleMania 41.
oh my gosh, what an
Yep.
event.
Yep. You and I were both in Las Vegas, or actually leaving Vegas after as day two was taking place. And I tell you, fans, it was jam-packed to the rafters in Vegas. Vegas was painted with professional wrestling for the past week. But the
Yep,
culmination was WrestleMania 41. And we're going to talk immediately about the main event. We're going to talk about John Cena, Mr. 17-time WWE World Champ. Of course, Rico's former tag team partner in OVW.
that's right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So,
I
Rico,
called it. I called it.
you did call it. You called it, man. And I admit, but you called it, but there was interference by a rapper by the name of Travis Scott. And I don't know who this guy is. I mean, that's just, again, we tell the truth here. I don't know who this guy is. What I do know is that he interfered in the main event match, and he cost Cody the title. Essentially, he cost him the title. Do you think that that was needed, Rico? Do you think that Travis was needed there for John to win?
No,
I don't think so either.
nope. I John Cena is everything he says he is.
Mhm.
I work with the man. There didn't need to be a distraction.
No.
John Cena's that good. That good. He could have won the title without a distraction.
Yep. Let alone from a rapper of all people.
A rapper.
A rapper. A guy who's probably 120 pounds soaking wet. I mean, he comes out. I don't understand the point of that. But what I also don't understand is what this has done for Cody Rhodes now. Because Cody was on such a huge uptick. Now he's lost. And I saw some clips of Monday Night Raw, and Cody's kind of been phased out, for lack of a better word. Where does he go from here, Rico?
Poor Cody. Poor Cody. He carried the company on his shoulders for years. He was every bit a professional, every bit of what people expected him. I don't know if this is going to turn him sour.
Hmm.
I don't know because he put so much positive energy. Uh, I he's going to be bitter.
Yeah.
Cody's going to be bitter. I can't predict the future, but if I lost my heavyweight champion to a rapper interfering,
Yeah.
I'd become very sour and I'd want to get back what was rightfully mine.
I think he's going to live up to the American Nightmare moniker. That's my prediction. I've been saying
Yeah.
he needs to turn heel. I think he's going to do it. I mean, let's face it. If he
Well,
doesn't,
he's not going to turn heel. He's going to become a heel.
come a heel.
He's going to
Yeah.
become a heel because the system screwed him.
Yep.
So, what other course do you have?
Right.
That heavyweight belt means a lot. When you carry that heavyweight belt, you're representing everything
Hmm.
of wrestling.
Hmm.
So, if it was me and I had that happen to me, I would come back with a vengeance.
Speaking of representing everything that professional wrestling is, John keeps talking about this, Rico, saying that when he leaves at the end of this year, he's got a few dates left, like 26 dates left to the end of this year, and he retires. He's going to systematically destroy wrestling, and he's going to be the last true professional wrestling champion. What do you propose that means? What do you think that means, Rico, when he says that? I'm going to be the last real champion.
Well, those are bold words.
Hmm.
Bold words. Um, I can understand how John feels.
Hmm.
I've worked with John. I was tag team partners with him. I know the heart he has for the business and wrestling. I know how much he gave to wrestling. He came out with thugonomics
Yeah.
and,
Great gimmick.
you know, and the people loved him, which
Hmm.
they should, because John is a good person. And after a while, John saw what was going to happen.
Hmm.
He saw this, and for whatever reason, he wanted that 17th championship. He wanted it, and being the popular one wasn't going to give it to him.
Mm-mm.
And so he became selfish
Yeah.
and he turned to what he wanted to do. He had an end goal, he
Hmm.
saw it, and that's the goal he wanted. And for him to get that goal, he had to become hard.
Yeah.
He had to become selfish. He had to focus on what he wanted.
Hmm.
So I don't fault John for that because now he is the icon. 17 world championships. Nobody else can claim that.
And he
Nobody.
and he is one of the remaining few of the last great class of professional wrestlers coming in from the ruthless aggression era. Maybe that's what he's
Yes.
alluding to, Rico. Viewers, what do you think? I think maybe he's alluding to the fact that he'll be the last true champion because he really doesn't see that much talent in the guys coming up. Maybe that's what it is.
It could be. And I was part of the ruthless aggression era,
Yep.
and I came up with enormous talent.
Yes.
Uh, enormous class that made a mark on wrestling history.
Mhm.
And I don't have to name them. You all name them. And look what happened. So John saw his spot and he decided to take this direction.
Mhm.
And like I said, I hold no ill will for it,
Mhm.
but he did achieve what he wanted to achieve. And
Oh.
I'm all about achieving goals. My
Mhm.
whole life is about achieving goals, and he did what he had to do.
Mhm. For sure. You know who's coming after him, though, hot on the heels after WrestleMania? His other fellow ruthless aggression friend, Mr. Randy Orton, another man that you are very familiar with, Rico.
Oh, yeah, legend killer.
Legend
Well,
killer.
okay. Uh, I'm going to wait to see what transpires. And Randy Orton is nothing to be taken lightly.
No.
Randy Orton's third generation. He knows. And when he went out, he did what he was supposed to do. And that's going to be Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
That's what that's going to be.
Yeah.
Clash of the Titans. And me, as a former wrestler and a spectator, I can't wait to see that.
Oh, it's
I
going to
can't
be.
wait to see Orton against Cena. That's going to be amazing.
Especially at this point in their careers. Have you seen Randy Orton lately? He's packed on about 30 more pounds of muscle, maybe 40. I mean, he's looking jacked. He's having fun with his career now. All the demons have been laid to rest that he dealt with
Yep.
in his younger career.
Yep.
This could be it could be a remarkable year. I mean, all we need now is for Brock Lesnar to make a return. And then they all start feud, and then you've got the culmination. You know what this reminds me of? And I'm sure the viewers are already, that have been watching wrestling for years know this. It was the end of an era. It was The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H at a WrestleMania. This has a ominous feeling of something similar that's going to happen this year, where it's going to be the end of the ruthless aggression era. That they're all going to kind of wrap up their story. Randy Orton, John Cena, Brock Lesnar. Who else do we have from that time period that's still running today? Well, Batista's gone. He's uh
Batista's gone. Yeah.
he's in Hollywood now. Um, who else was there from?
Well, Shelton Benjamin is AEW.
That's right.
Charlie Haas is missing in action. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I need to make a comeback.
I think you do need to make a comeback, Rico. But again, whether it be AEW or WWE, we don't know at this juncture. We know that you've already graced All Elite Wrestling with your presence, which we'll discuss that later. Because again, well, you were graced it with your presence, but you were abandoned at an opportune moment,
Yep.
coincidentally, by two individuals that we'll discuss a little bit later. But nonetheless. Moving on in WrestleMania, let's talk about Jey Uso because here's another man who his story unfolded, and I for
Yeet,
one,
yeet,
yeah,
yeet, yeet,
yeet.
yeet, yeet.
Now I don't know what the heck yeet means. All right, me personally,
No, neither do I.
sorry to be the sourpuss here, but I am the master. But I don't know what it means. But I do appreciate his hard work and his effort and his reinventing of his character. He broke away from his brother. This is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
You got a twin brother. You're a tag team to split up and go off and become a success, much like Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, who, coincidentally, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Marty Jannetty will be joining us right here next week. So make sure you lay the smack down on that subscribe button and do not miss that episode. It's going to be very, very revealing. But yeah,
Marty
he's made
Jannetty,
Marty
wonderful
Jannetty.
guy. I met him at WrestleCon.
Yeah, yeah,
Humble, just, I told him I was a fan of his, and he put me on an interview with him, a
that's right.
mic'd interview and everything. And I I respect him double now because he knew who I was, I knew who he was, and I can't wait to get him on the show.
It's going to
He
be
has so
fantastic.
much knowledge, so much knowledge.
Yeah, Marty's been working hard. He's really improved his health over the past year. Of course, I
I heard.
interviewed him, Rico. I interviewed him back when we were Victoire Before we
Victoire.
became the Masters of Wrestling, I interviewed Marty, and we got a lot of good comments, good response from that. Marty was at his best there. Of course, he's been dealing with several demons over the past few years, but those appear to have been quelled now. We hope and pray
Excellent.
for Marty. So
Excellent.
he's going to be joining us. He's getting back in tip-top shape. But coming back to Jey Uso, so he wins the belt from Gunther.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you think, Rico? Do you think it's going
I'm
to be a long
happy.
run? Yeah.
I'm happy because I myself was privileged to be part of the Samoan bloodline.
That's
You
right.
know, Rikishi, Jamal, Rosie, and stuff like that. And I had the most wonderful time in wrestling, being involved with these people. And they are true wrestling professionals, and I couldn't be more happy for Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Yeet, 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 yeet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am so happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him too. He put a lot of work. I was blessed to meet recently, about a month ago, Reno, Rikishi Fatu's brother, and worked with them with Knox Pro out in Southern California. And I can tell you, they make you feel welcome. It's a welcoming environment, very professional. They help you with your craft. So I was very
Yeah.
impressed with what I.
Oh,
But I actually saw you having an interaction at WrestleCon, Rico, with Jamal's son. Tell us about that.
yes.
Tell us
Oh
about
my
that.
gosh. Oh my God. Jamal's son, and I got to meet the mom for the first time, and it was just heart wrenching
Yeah.
uh, because I'm so happy for his son, and I am so sad for the mom.
Hmm.
Um, it was very split, and his son hugged me and told me, because I knew him when he was knee high to a grasshopper,
Right.
and I saw him backstage and stuff like that. And to see him blossom
Hmm.
into what he's going to do, he is focused.
Yeah.
Folks, you need to watch him
Hmm.
because he is focused. And his mother, the most loveliest woman in the world, embraced me. And I told her how much I loved her husband and loved working with him. And he told me, his son told me, Rico, when I debut, I want you there.
Absolutely.
There's no bigger honor than that,
Yeah.
especially coming from that family.
Yeah.
And when the storyline put me in that family, Rikishi, Jamal, Rosie, all of them accepted me as family, taught me what I didn't know,
Hmm.
and guided me and helped me become the former superstar that I was. They
Yeah.
were always involved in my life, always.
Yeah. And for the benefit of any newer, younger viewers, Rico is part of 3 Minute Warning with Rosie and Jamal. And speaking of 3 Minute Warning, Rico, I would be remiss if I did not bring up that shirt that you have under that beautiful tiger print right there, because is that not, in fact, the 3 Minute Warning shirt? Is that not it right there?
This is it. This
That
is
is the
ring
one.
worn.
That is it. There it is. You must have planned that you were talking about Rosie and Jamal today, Rico.
Nope, but this is one of the shirts I wore when I was privileged to be part of 3 Minute Warning.
Yeah.
And everything I wear on the show is ring worn.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything when I was a stylist. And I knew we were going to talk about this today. So I am paying my homage
Mhm.
to that family and the lineage of that family because I respect them very much.
Yeah.
And they they imparted to me being outside the family. They took me in as family,
Hmm.
and they taught me what they knew.
Yeah.
And I could never repay them. I could never say thank you enough or be humble enough to just what that family did for me
Mhm.
was amazing.
They're a tremendous lineage. I mean, I'm thinking about another man who showed up at WrestleMania to congratulate Jacob Fatu, which was Haku. Of course, the
Yeah.
original, the Islanders, you know, I mean, it's been how long has it been
Yep.
since we've seen Haku in a WWE event? And he came
I
down.
know.
And by the way, congratulations to Jacob Fatu too. There's another story, a success story of a man who at one time was not in the best place in life. But because and I want to bring that up to viewers. Sometimes viewers, we can often feel like just because someone's related to somebody that it's easier for them and that they're just going to get a golden ticket straight to the top. That
It's
wasn't the case.
harder.
Yes, it's
It's
harder
harder.
and sometimes they face a lot of demons which keep them down for many many years. The same can be said for Jacob Fatu, but this past weekend, he realized one goal, and I think he has become the new United States heavyweight champion in WWE. So, congratulations to Jacob Fatu on that one as well. Great entertainer. These are guys, Rico, who truly understand how the wrestling business works. They're not just a guy that walks in and pretends to be a performer, a character, and professional. They are the
They
characters.
embody it. They
Yes.
embody it.
Yeah.
And after 3 minute warning, Umaga.
Yep. Here's another one.
Jamal had a run as Umaga and he embodied that.
Hmm.
That's the talent of this man. Uh, he can switch, and become a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And that's what Jamal was.
Yeah.
I
Right.
traveled with him, I roomed with him. Uh, I soaked up all I could
Hmm.
with listening,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
listening to their advice. Sometimes it'd be at dinner, sometimes it'd be traveling, sometimes it would be just sitting in the back.
Yeah. A
But they
lot.
would say nuggets of knowledge.
Hmm.
And that's why God gave us one mouth and two ears. So we listen
Hmm.
twice as much as we talk.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to understand that. And I listened. I
Hmm.
listened to everything they said
Yeah.
because they are true professionals.
Yeah.
That whole lineage just is amazing. And I am so blessed that they brought me in to teach me
Mhm.
what they knew. I,
Well, yeah,
I'm
they are. They're incredible.
forever indebted.
And speaking of which, if Reno Black Pearl, if you're watching this, if you happen to see this, shout out to you. He did such a great job. Like I said, we worked with the Knox Pro. We did the Samoan Cup actually about a month ago. So gracious, and even in a few minutes of a pre-show meeting that we all had, just within that time, the nuggets of knowledge were shared via Reno, and it's just remarkable. Like I said, they live, eat, and breathe and sweat and die the professional wrestling business, the Samoa family. But
Yep.
I will say this, I will bring up one thing. Um, The Rock. So conjecture here. The Rock was not at WrestleMania 41. He was not at the Hall of Fame either. So, some people are kind of, upset. Some people are upset. Some people are wondering where was The Rock? I mean, this was arguably the biggest night of WWE for this year. WrestleMania 41, Hall of Fame. Rock's a member of TKO. He's on the board. What do you think could have possibly kept him away from WrestleMania 41, Rico?
Well, from what I know and what I've learned,
Hmm.
Dwayne is a very busy man. He has so many irons in the fire.
Hmm.
He's constantly trying to better himself, better the situation. Something must have came up because uh, he should have been there or could have been there, but I'm saying something took him away
Hmm.
because why wouldn't he be there?
Right.
This was a magnificent event and
Hmm.
he should have been there. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know it. But like I said, Rock has a lot going on. and you can't spread yourself like peanut butter on a piece of bread.
No.
So I'm saying for The Rock, something more important came up that needed his attention
Yeah.
because if he could have, he would have been there.
Yeah.
Uh, Um, I've I've known Rock and I've talked to him. I never got to wrestle him, but he always told me that he loved my characters. They made him laugh, and he would always give me a pat on the back and say, "You're doing good."
Yeah.
So something had to happen. There's an outside circumstance that we don't know about yet, but I'm pretty sure if the pathway led, he wouldn't have missed it.
Yeah.
So, in defense of The Rock, something happened. I don't know what, and I'm not going to speculate,
Mhm.
but something happened to drag him away.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that for sure. I want to switch over to another match at WrestleMania right now, Rico, involving, yes, Randy Orton, a man who you know very well, but another young man who, like I said, this man, Rico. Now, I know there are a lot of fans out there. I know there's a lot of you who like this guy. Quite honestly, I'm not sure why you like him. His name is Joe Hendry, Rico, from
Oh,
TNA.
Hendry.
Yeah. Now, I'm sorry to be the party pooper here because I know everybody wants to believe in this guy, but I don't, for one. Okay. All right. Now, that's just my
That's your
opinion.
privilege.
That's my privilege.
That's
That's
your
my opinion.
privilege.
That's my
We're
privilege.
we're co-hosts,
Yes.
and one thing on this podcast,
Yep.
we always tell the truth.
Yeah. We tell the
Always
truth.
tell the truth.
We tell the
Okay.
truth. It's
Yeah.
hard hitting,
So
but yeah, go ahead, Rico. You've met Joe personally, so you know
I've
a little
met
bit of.
Joe twice.
Okay.
I met him in New York when I was at a signing. He came in and I was the premier, and Joe came in secondary. And Joe was very complimentary
Hmm.
on my career. Joe was saying that's why he got back into it because I started late, as everybody knows. And he said I gave him the spark
Hmm.
to get back into it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I saw him at WrestleCon.
Hmm.
I saw him
He's
and he
he's
was
he's
nothing but
he's he's lucky I didn't see him, but continue, Rico.
okay. He was very kind to me,
Hmm.
very warm and gracious, and still gave me the respect that I don't think I deserve, but he did.
Yeah.
He told me how influential I was for him to get started in his career.
Hmm.
And that's what I can go on.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything negative to say about Joe Hendry.
Hmm. No, I don't have anything negative per se. Anybody who compliments you, Rico, I respect. I just don't like him professionally. And
Well,
I tell you what, Rico, I tell you what, this is going to happen. This is a bit of a bombshell for you viewers right now. So when this airs, this will be airing on Sunday. As this airs, know that I will be at that TNA taping. I will be at that TNA pay-per-view this weekend. I will be in the same proximity as Joe Hendry this weekend. I will be there in some capacity working at that event. So we'll see what transpires if he crosses my path, Rico.
well, the master,
Yes.
I respect you. I
Yes.
respect you very much on what you're doing.
Yep.
And if you have to confront Joe Hendry, um, don't let me be a stifle to what you have to say.
No.
You have to speak your mind.
I will.
Speak your mind and tell Joe Hendry how you feel.
Yep.
Okay. Because obviously you know things I don't,
Hmm.
but I will back you.
Hmm.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I appreciate
Do
that, and I
not
thank you.
do not be something you're not.
No, listen,
Because that's what we preach on this podcast.
yeah, listen,
Be you.
all I want to do is I want to help Joe Hendry. He has not reached his full
Okay.
potential. He has not attained even a quarter of his full potential. I feel for this guy because he's close to my homeland. He's up from Scotland, a stone's throw away from where I grew up in the south of the United Kingdom.
How
Um,
big a stone?
it's not a big stone actually, because considering you can fit England into the state of California quite a few times, it's not that far really. So not disrespecting my homeland, but yeah. So I feel for this guy. I know he can be a lot more than what he's become. Of course, that's what the master does, I understand a lot about a lot of people. I understand psychology. I've been doing that for many, many, many moons. So I understand all about making someone better than what they are. But that's enough. That's enough of that. I want to move back into WrestleCon itself now, Rico, because this
Oh my gosh.
this was your first WrestleCon, right, Rico?
Yeah, my first one.
Yep. And what did you feel? What was the response like with the fans? How did you feel with the fans this time?
Oh my gosh. I was just overwhelmed and humbled, and fans came up and they were telling me stories of when I met them. They were showing me pictures from 20 plus years ago and how I was a nice guy, and how I sat with him in dinner, invited him to my table, because I traveled alone at that time,
Hmm.
and that I made a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
I did, we charged 30 for a picture, 30 for a photograph, 50 for a combo. But when these people told me their story, I did their podcast for free.
Hmm.
I just said, wow.
Yeah.
I was just so impressed and humbled that these people remembered me. I did numerous podcasts for these people, and I loved doing it.
Yeah.
I just, they came up to me,
Yeah.
and the WrestleCon fans were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been gone 25 years, you know, and they still remember the character and what I did, and all their personal stories really touched my heart.
Yeah.
They really did. And that's what I miss about wrestling. I
Mm.
don't miss the traveling. I don't miss hotels. I don't miss going through the tables with Dudleys. I don't miss the chair shots. I don't miss all that. What I miss is the fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And WrestleCon made me realize that I had a connection with the fans.
Yeah. Big time,
And it
Rico.
was just wonderful
Yeah.
to hear each story because they would tell me.
Hmm.
And I was just so humbled that a character that I invented 20 plus years ago is still remembered today.
Yeah.
I just, it's just so heartwarming,
Hmm. Rightfully so, though,
very
Rico.
much so.
Rightfully so, Rico. Fans, I got to watch Rico interacting with the fans at WrestleCon. And thank you all to everybody who is watching this channel who showed up at WrestleCon and who ventured over to our booth. We got to meet some of you when we were there. Of course, we were there, Rico and I, with Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. Also, Jim Powers was joining us that day over at the booth. Of course, we've got Power and Glory, the podcast, also on this channel. So, of course, those who are watching right now are familiar with that. It was just a wonderful experience, and it was true. I remember you saying that, you missed this, you missed the fans. The fans miss you, Rico. I mean, we grew up watching The Stylist. We watched all the crazy antics with Billy and Chuck, then with 3 Minute Warning, then with Charlie and Miss Jackie. I mean, it's a testament to you, to your character, that you made
Oh,
such an impact in when you think about it, that wasn't even a decade, not even 10 years, but you made
7 years.
such 7 years, but you made such an impact, like you said, that 20 plus years later, people are still coming up to you. They remember the stylist character. But I think what sets you apart, much like what sets Paul and Mario apart, and Jim too, um, the humility of you all. You interact with the fans, you spend time with the fans, you respect them for respecting you, you're the real deal, and you use it wisely to inspire and motivate and encourage others, which is the goal. That should be the goal
Yep.
for anybody in any form of public, because basically we are in public service. Whenever you're in the
Yep.
public forum, you are in public service. So it's our duty to be kind to you, to be courteous to you, to inspire and motivate you. So yeah, I got to see that. It was wonderful, Rico.
What was wonderful is a team I watch, the Powers of Pain.
Oh yeah. The-
And
yeah,
they came up to our booth in makeup and
yeah,
stuff, and they told me, here's these guys that are just
yeah,
brute force.
yeah,
And they told me, we love what you did. You entertained us.
yeah,
And they told me it was, when I was home, I couldn't wait to watch you on TV. I was
yeah,
like, oh my God,
yeah, yeah.
here's the people I watched when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And they told me how much I entertained them.
Yeah,
I
that's
got to see
amazing.
Gangrel
Yep.
and the Boogeyman. Oh my gosh. The Boogeyman came up into OVW after I left.
Hmm.
And the gentleman's 60 years, but he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And he told me that he loved what I did. I
Mhm.
saw Jacqueline.
Jacqueline was
Jacqueline
there?
there.
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah.
her. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's tiny. It's
Okay.
hard to see her over everybody. And that's the story I told here,
Yeah.
that Jacqueline and Stephanie were having a talk at a house show, and they were looking at me and laughing.
Right. I remember you
And
telling me.
and I was like, is my zipper down? I look down, I'm going, I'm wearing tights. There's no zipper, and I told Jacqueline the story. I said, do you remember this?
Hmm.
She says, no, not really. I said, and I described the whole incident.
Hmm.
I was wrestling Raven. You and Stephanie were talking, which Stephanie doesn't go to house shows.
Okay.
She went to this one. And after Stephanie left, I confronted Jackie. What were you talking about? Oh, it's okay. No, it's not okay. What were you two talking about? She goes, and she asked one question. Would you dye your hair bleach blonde?
Hmm.
I said, sure, I would.
Yeah.
And then she goes, okay. And she turned around and left. And then 2 weeks later, I was called up to be Billy and Chuck's manager.
Wow.
Now, the
Yeah.
blonde didn't happen,
Hmm.
but I'm pretty sure Stephanie and Jacqueline had a lot to do with my career.
Yeah.
And I told her that, and she was shocked. And she goes, I didn't know. I said, well, how could you?
Yeah.
And we hugged each other, and I told her, thank you. And she is just the sweetest thing since plum bread,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
It's,
Uh, and I let her know
yeah.
that I thought that she was part of my career going forward.
That's really nice. I'm glad you got to share that moment. And
Yeah.
you mentioned the powers of pain there, Rico. Of course,
Yep.
Barbarian and Warlord, tremendous guys. Actually, Warlord is going to be joining us on the podcast soon. I've had a communication with him. He was so nice to me. You mentioned the Boogeyman. I was just blown
Yep.
away. The Boogeyman. Shout out to the Boogeyman too, and Gangrel. I had a
Yep.
great conversation with Gangrel while we
Oh
were
my
there.
gosh.
Tremendous individuals.
Oh, and I gotta say, Mike Chioda, the
Yes,
referee.
Mike Chioda.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
He refereed a lot of my matches, and I saw Teddy Long there.
that's right. He was
Teddy
there, Teddy.
Long.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Here, I don't know if the viewers know this. I was in my first dark match, first one going,
Hmm.
and Teddy called the match.
Oh wow, I didn't know that, Rico.
Teddy Long called it.
Yeah,
Do this, do that, do this. And he took care of me.
that's
A-
cool.
And the match was a success.
Yeah,
But Teddy Long did that as a referee.
yeah. He was
I
also a
just
manager and a general manager for that role.
well,
Yeah.
after that, yes, but he was
Yeah.
a referee like Kyoto, uh, the Hebners, everything,
Hmm.
but he excelled
Yeah.
where they saw his talent. But Teddy Long was my first referee in my first dark match,
Yeah.
and he got me through it.
That's neat. And you mentioned
I was
Mike.
so nervous.
Well, it's and that's something that we talk about. It doesn't ever really go away, does it, Rico? Even when you're doing a convention, the nerves still come because you're still interacting with the fans. We want to give you the best. But you mentioned Mike Kyoto. I want to let everybody know Mike will also be joining us on the podcast very soon. So we had conversations at WrestleCon, so he'll also be joining us, which will be a first to have a referee with us, Rico. So that's going to be an
Yeah,
interesting
wow.
show.
Mike
Yeah.
Kyoto refereed a lot of my matches, and he
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
He had the facial expressions, especially when I went to the Adrian Street character.
Yeah.
He sold it, along with
Yeah.
Charles Robinson.
He's another good one.
Charles was good too, but Mike Chioda sold all the stuff and made it believable.
Yeah.
And God, Mike Chioda is a wonderful man.
He is a wonderful, but I tell you who else is a wonderful man, Rico, because before we move on, because some other things happened at WrestleCon, which we'll also discuss. But
Uh,
before I go there, I want to touch on a positive. Um, Triple H. Okay. So we're driving home. I'm watching the Hall of Fame speech that Triple H gave. Almost an hour he spoke. And for anybody who ever doubted Triple H and thought negatively of him, I never did. I always respected Triple H. I liked him growing up. Of course, there are many people that know or think, that I'm related to him, but that's another story. But Triple H, he gave an amazing speech at the Hall of Fame, and it feels so good that Triple H is at the helm of professional wrestling. You really got to see inside that man's character. Rico, did you see his speech? Have you heard it yet?
I didn't see it, but I know
Yeah.
the man's character.
He,
I know the
he,
man's character.
yeah,
He is, he's out for the wrestlers. He
yeah,
looks after the wrestlers,
yeah.
and he was the go-between between Vince and I because the static Vince and I had
Hmm.
due to my age, but Triple H was the go-between,
Yeah. Triple H
and
is,
yeah, I have nothing negative to say about Triple H, nothing whatsoever. He was always kind to me, and I got to go to a WWE event after I recovered from my illness for 3 years, and I met him at T-Mobile, and Stephanie and him were very kind to me. They let me come in, they let me eat catering, they let me stay for the show.
mhm.
So I wasn't forgotten. I
Yeah.
wasn't discarded.
No.
And that's because of Triple H.
Yeah, no, and when I heard that speech he gave, one of the things that took me back is, he said that there is not such a thing as a self-made man because you always need other people to prop you up. You always need to learn from other people. He was humble in that regard that he made that statement. He also did another thing that was I commended him greatly for because I know a lot of the other guys have tried to brush it under the rug like it never existed. And he talked about Vince McMahon. And that actually got rounds of applause because we've talked about this, you and I, Rico. Yes, Vince McMahon has been accused of doing some hellacious things, which only he will have to deal with God. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
If those allegations are true. Um, but you cannot deny the fact that Vince made the careers of these guys. He gave you a paycheck back in the day, helped your character. He laced you back up when you were broken, when your quad injuries, things of that nature. So Triple H acknowledged him, and he actually said, "I love you, Vince," because that's his father-in-law. So I was taken aback by that because I'm so happy that he had the courage to actually say the name Vince McMahon where others are failing to do so lately.
You have to give credit. And I've said it before on podcasts. Personally, I don't agree with he did.
Hmm.
Professionally, I'm 100% behind Vince McMahon.
Hmm.
100%.
Hmm.
And even though he did not want me, people stood up for me to give me a shot. I know it was just 7 years, but I got a shot.
Hmm.
And look, 20, 25 years, the fans still remember me.
Yeah.
And he didn't make me look like a butthead.
Hmm.
He he let me flourish and expand on the characters that I developed. The
Yeah.
stylist, the Adrian Street homage, he let me run with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, Vince McMahon's a businessman,
Hmm.
and that's what he is. That's what he's running, a business.
Yeah.
And if you don't like what Vince McMahon does, then leave.
Yeah.
Don't cause trouble.
Yeah.
And I asked for a raise and he said no. And I gave him 90 days. He still said no. So I went to All Japan.
Yeah.
It's his company.
Hmm.
He built it, you know, like I said, personal stuff aside, business wise, he's got to be the smartest man ever in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And I will not deny him that credit.
No, absolutely. I'll second that. But I will say I'm thankful that Triple H is at the helm of the wrestling empire right now. Couldn't have asked for somebody better to do it. He loves the business. He breathes it, sleeps it, eats it. He was great as a performer. He's a great leader, as
Yep.
per all the guys. So, Triple H, a shout out to you. Thank you, sir, for taking professional wrestling into a new generation now and doing great things
Yep.
with it. Speaking of business, Rico, let's do a few business things here. So we did the Chris Benoit Part 2 investigation a few weeks ago. We had Aaron Stevens and Kenny Bolin join us on that. Just to let you all
Yep.
know, we're coming back live to do a Part 3 on that because we've got some other perhaps startling revelations that we will reveal on Part 3. And Aaron Stevens will be joining us, the NWA superstar. Aaron Stevens will also be joining us once again for that. Shout out to Aaron Stevens. He's a great guy. He'll be joining us. And then, Rico, you and I discussed, we want to hear from you fans. We don't just want to hear from you, we want to see you, and we want you to be part of the show. So, what
Yep.
Rico and I have done, if we've said, if you want to be on our show for a 5 minute segment where you get to come on the screen with us, ask questions,
And say whatever you want,
and say whatever you want and be live,
but be professional.
be professional, of course, be professional.
Yep.
You can slap a super chat with your name, contact details. Donations must be $100 for $100, and you'll get to appear live with us. And if we have a guest on our show that day, you'll be live with our guest too. So make sure you slap a super sticker, a super thanks, a super chat, or use the Cash app that you'll see in the description of this video. You donate your $100, send us your information, and you will be on the show with us. Simple? Fair?
Live, just like
Live.
this. You're
Live.
going to be pictured, you're going to be heard, and you ask what you need to ask. And out of either two or three of us, you will get your question answered
That's it.
live.
You'll get the question answered live. And of course, before we go into our final topic today, Style in the Podcast t-shirts. They are available.
Oh, look at that gorgeous man
Yes,
right
yes,
there.
yes. Which one are you talking about? There's two of
You.
them. There's two of them, Rico, right there. These are available
Oh,
right now.
I
45.
already see what I look like. You're the gorgeous man.
Same here. $45. Thank you, Rika. $45, including shipping and handling here in the United States. And then, of course, if you want your very own 8 by 10 signed by Rico and himself, mailed out to you, Rico, hold that up once more, $50. And that will be sent directly to you, including shipping and handling. Rico will sign it.
And
Again,
personalize it.
personalize it to you. And of course, if you like a little bit of truth, then you have the master.
Oh, the master.
The
Ooh,
master,
ooh, I
always.
can't look.
The
Oh my gosh.
master. And that brings us Rico. Yes. that brings us into our final topic today. I think you knew it was coming.
Oh,
I think you knew it was
I
coming, Rico.
I
All right.
did.
And I'm sorry to have to bring it up again because my pet peeve is not with you.
I know.
It is with Manchild 1 and Manchild 2. That is Mansoor and Mason.
Well,
MXM
wait.
collection.
Well, man-child one is Mason.
Yes,
Man-child two is Mansoor.
Mansoor. Because he wanted to be Manchild 1.
That's what he wanted to be.
See, he's already listening to
Uh,
me. He's listening to me, Rico. He's obeying.
that was not a good. That was not a good situation. It caught me by surprise.
Well, you caught me by surprise, Rico. This is what happened, ladies and gentlemen. I was making the rounds at WrestleCon. I was being pulled this way and that by media, journalists, photographers, what have you. I was making the rounds, and then I come back to the booth and I see MXM have made their way over to our booth and they're talking to Rico right in front of our booth. So, of course, I feel the heat raising beneath my collar, which Mansoor, by the way, my collar that is worth more than your home. And I'm baffled, Rico, as to why these two man children decided to come and invade our space. And that's why I got so heated. That's why. You've yet to procure us the contract. I've sent them their videos this week. In fact, viewers, if you want to see what happened, go and look in the playlist. Look at the title page for our channel here, and you'll see exactly what happened in Las Vegas. So, Rico, what's going on with MXM? They now they're dodging us again. They're laying low.
No, they're not laying low. I'm preparing MXM for multiple challenges. I really am, and they're not ready yet, but they're ready to be where they are.
Mhm.
You know, taking on the Master and Delirium, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Oh, I understand that.
Takes
I would
it
be
takes a
afraid to take us on myself.
well, it takes a lot,
Yeah.
and I have to give them strategy. So they're not dodging you.
Mhm.
I just haven't finalized everything yet. And when they came over, because I am the stylist, and they saw I was there,
Mhm.
they wanted to say hello and, just be kind. I didn't know you were going to be there with security. I didn't know you'd have a security guard with you
Okay.
protecting you, and you were gone. So they came over to acknowledge
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
And then you show up with a show of force. And I rather didn't like that. I didn't like you to show up with a show of force against my guys.
Rika, the reason I showed up with force, and of course I always travel with private security, that's not because I'm afraid. I can get my hands dirty and I can wipe the mat with many an individual, including Joe Henry. But the bottom line is I have to travel with security because I am so desired, by media, paparazzi, and things like that. Not just because they want to be close to the master, because they want to know what's going on in here. They want a little nugget from this treasure trove of wisdom here. And that's exactly
Right.
what MXM were trying to extract. That's why they were coming up. I know that MXM want to become a part of Delirium. It's clearly obvious to me. This is what's going on.
Uh, mm, I don't know about that. Okay. And I don't know who you're talking to, Monsieur Mason or whatever, but these are my guys. I'm taking them on as proteges and I'm grooming them for future because I want them to be world tag team champions. And it takes a while. That Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. Yes, you and I have a
Yeah.
relationship. Okay, but I can't have you pressuring me or threatening my guys. I can't have you do that. You know,
I'm having to hold back. Let me tell you this. The sheer force and power that is McCallion. I'm having to restrain McCallion right now. He is just ready right now to board a flight head on over to Florida and go and track these guys down and just take care of business right now. I'm having to restrain him and keep him safe from the law. Right? This is the fever pitch that we're at. Slade, he's a little calmer, but he's still plotting. He's still plotting. He's methodically plotting his attack on Mason and Mansoor. I mean, I'm just warning you guys. I'm just telling you right now. You and I, like I said, will handle our affairs ringside when this happens. But
Okay.
also,
Now, wait. Now, you have to control your guys as I control mine. My guys could have taken out security and could have taken you out, could have beat you
really,
to a pulp right there at
really,
WrestleCon.
I don't think
They
so,
could
Rico.
have.
I don't think so.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Two against one, security.
yeah.
Come on. I've done security for years. I know when you got an old man with a walkie talkie doing that, he's not part of the equation.
Rico.
But
He was just one
wait,
of 20.
well, there was no 20 around. And I held my guys back with my arms
Mhm.
and told them don't, because there's a bigger picture. That's what I did. So I actually saved you. Okay.
Rico.
Now, if McCallion or Slade was there, there'd have been an all out brawl. All out
Rico.
brawl.
Rico. I had to withhold myself from attacking Mansoor and Mason. In my estimation, it would have been an absolute cakewalk. All I had to have done was steal Mansoor's man bag, is it? Or purse, as women call it. A purse.
Man bag.
I would have
Man
stolen
bag.
I would have stolen his purse. He would have been in tears. End of story. Mason Mansoor, Mason, the jolly green giant that he is, who prefers to be called man child number one. He is no challenge to me, Rico. Let's face it. And once they step in the ring with Delirium, whether that be in AEW, whether it be someplace else, the results will always be the same. Delirium will be left standing, and they would be
And
slayed by
there's your
society.
point. Delirium.
Yes.
Delirium was not there. Where was McCallion and Slade? They were not by your side. They
Deli-
were not there. And I'll tell you what, Mason, who was a former pro football player, let me tell you, this man can do damage. And Mansoor, with his techniques, could have done damage.
That's right.
Okay. I held them
Mhm.
back for respect out of you.
That's
Okay.
right.
I don't care if he had 20 security guards. They're no match for Mason and Mansoor, which are called MXM Collection.
Yeah.
These guys are runway models, but make no mistake, these guys can hold their own. And I wouldn't even have to be involved.
Let me
And
let me
I don't want to be involved.
let me
But
tell you
if
one
you
thing.
make me, I will be involved.
Rico, you and I are going to handle this ringside. But let me tell you one thing. I got a call just yesterday from GQ magazine asking me to be on the cover of that magazine. Mansoor and Mason have only been on the covers of magazines in their mind. It's all imaginary. But for now, I want it because I want to segue into another topic. You and I are business partners. I respect you, but understand, Rico, in closing, this part of the show. When we are ringside, when Delirium, and I'll remind you, Rico, that Delirium is a collective. It's not just Slade and McCallion. It is the master. It is Slade and McCallion. It is a collective. When we are there, and when we face you, MXM, the collection, that includes you, I will not be held responsible for what will happen. And that is the end of that subject.
Okay. And
That's
then
it.
since you issued that, you're a collection, I can't say I will not be involved either, because I will
Well,
protect my guys to the death.
yes.
I will protect them. If you get involved, I get involved. Don't do it. You let these men fight it out. And please, please don't let me revert to my basic instinct. Don't do it
Rico.
because that is evil.
Yes.
And I know evil. I've had to do evil, and I don't want to do evil to you, Master. I
Rico.
don't.
You won't, because one day soon the truth will be revealed to you, Rico. You will see the light. And I believe you will be singing the praises of Delirium, and you will be scattering the ashes of MXM Collection. But now, on to our final topic, switching gears, Rico. And I do want to get into a different mindset for this because it is a sad topic to discuss right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I
uh,
know.
the passing of Steve Mongo McMichael.
Uh,
Our condolences to Steve's family. He was a tremendous, tremendous American football player for our British fans. Tremendous color commentator in WCW. Of course, a member of the Four Horsemen. Made an
yep.
effortless transition from football to pro wrestling. Um, Rico, did you ever meet Steve?
No, I didn't. Did not.
Okay, but you did meet Deborah,
Yes.
his ex-wife.
Yep.
Um, did you ever watch Steve when he was part
Oh
of the
yeah.
Chicago Bears?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, McMichael, with McMahon, not Vince, but the quarterback.
yeah,
And I love the '85 Chicago Bears.
yeah,
They went out on a mission and captured the Super Bowl.
yeah.
Uh, if you're any type of American football fan, you love that era.
Mhm,
Refrigerator Perry, all that. They had stars. Mike Ditka made them all stars, and they performed.
mhm,
He rallied them to win the Super Bowl. Yes, and I respect that tremendously.
mhm.
You know, Mondo McMichael was the best at his position, and like I said, they won the Super Bowl, and then he transferred to wrestling. He made a name, and he was unstoppable. And then he became a commentator. What what a facet of life. How many branches he reached out to reinvent himself and just keep going
Mhm.
and use his abilities.
Yeah,
A very unique human being.
yeah.
Very unique.
Very unique. He made an impression on me as a very, very young kid. He's in his later years in WCW, and I was just amazed myself. I mean, a lot of guys did try and make that transition from football to wrestling, but Steve made it well. Of course, he was a member of the Four Horsemen. He was in at a time when he was with Chris Benoit. He was
Yep.
with Arn Anderson, and of course, Mr. Joe Rogan status himself, Ric Flair. But our condolences, but also I wanted to celebrate the man's life. I wanted to celebrate his career here. And I also wanted to add this, Rico, because one thing I did notice this weekend while being in attendance at the WrestleCon this past weekend, um, life is precious and
Yes.
life moves by quickly. And what you did for the generation of kids when we watched you, what Delirium and myself are doing now for the next generation of kids watching. I encourage, anybody, when you go to these conventions, don't be afraid to go up and talk to those that you watched in the past and say thank you to them, and share a conversation like many were doing with Rico this past weekend. Because as we've seen all too quickly, Mongo was here 2 days ago. He's gone now. That conversation can't be had, at least in this life. I was thinking about that, about the Ultimate Warrior, Rico. He's somebody that I would have loved to have had a conversation with, but I never got to, so
I was fortunate enough to have numerous conversations with him.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, he was my idol in the wrestling business, his intensity, the way he went to the ring. He
Yeah.
might not know how to wrestle, but his intensity, the music, everything.
Character.
Yeah. And I was so fortunate to meet him on numerous occasions and got to talk to the man,
Yeah.
not in wrestling, but personally,
Yeah.
and sit with him.
Hmm.
And I remember in Phoenix, I got to sit with him in his gym and just talk to him and tell him the impressions that he made on me of being that over and above charismatic character
Yeah.
that it just inspired me,
Yeah.
and just he I don't care what they say about him backstage or nothing, but his persona and everything. And when I met him personally, out of the ring, out of the spotlight, he was gentle,
Yeah.
and I told him how much he meant to me, and he was very appreciative of that,
Yeah.
very. And I'll never forget him.
Hmm. No, he's an unforgettable character, and I tell you what, we're gonna have a special on the Ultimate Warrior, and we're gonna have a special guest on with us on that episode. Somebody who knew him very well, who worked closely with him in the mid '90s. So just, again, lay the smack down on that subscribe button and make sure that you tune back in for that one. But yeah, I wanted to leave it on that positive note. So again, if you do get to see, if you're a fan of professional wrestling, if you want to become a wrestler and you see those that have gone before you, don't be afraid. Go over and talk to them, acknowledge them, share your thoughts with them. They and we all appreciate it.
We appreciate it because of all the people that come and say something to you that have the gumption
Mhm.
or the strength that come to you. How many people that don't have it that really appreciate you?
Mhm.
I appreciate the fans, and I've said it before. The only thing I miss about wrestling is the fans. And
Yeah.
I love to sit and talk to them and tell me their stories. I've had people show me pictures from 20 years ago to now. And the fact that I made such an impression with only 7 years
Yeah.
in the business, uh, it just humbles me, almost brings me to tears.
It is. It's
That,
remarkable.
yeah, it that's the word, remarkable.
It's
And at
remarkable.
WrestleCon, I got to meet a lot of these people and interact with these people. And I sat and listened to them. I
Yeah.
didn't cut them off. I let them talk as much as they wanted to, take pictures, and it it made me think that all the bumps, bruises, injuries, tables, chair shots, it made that all go away
Mhm.
because they told me how much they appreciated the characters.
Yeah. And that is
You
true.
know,
We do appreciate it. It was a
I
tremendous. Sorry to cut you off there, Rico. I was just saying it was a tremendous
no,
run, and we appreciate you, Rico. And I want to thank everybody who did take a time to go and chat with Rico at WrestleCon. Um, there will be plenty more opportunities for that down the line, to come and meet and greet. Of course, Rico, the other half of our team and myself, we will be in Canada for 80s Con in June. So if any of our fans in Canada that are watching, Paul Roma, Mario Mancini, Jim Powers, and myself will be there for 80s Con in June. Rico will not be at that one with us, but we'll keep you posted on any other conventions or any other signings that Rico is involved with. Any shows that are coming up with us both there or with Rico there. I'll keep you posted on that. And of course, if you're interested in booking Rico for any public speaking engagements or the entire team here at the Masters of Wrestling, use the email address in the description of this video. We'll get back to you and sort that out with you. Rico, any the animal shelter. Did you get the name of it?
no, I didn't.
Okay.
But let me check.
Okay. While Rico's checking that, even if Rico does not have it right now before the end of the show, he will have it before Sunday, and I'll put the link in the description of this video. So that way you guys
Yeah.
can go ahead.
We have an animal shelter here in Phoenix, and it's about to go upside down. And two of the three Great Danes that we have were rescued from this animal shelter. They got 50 dogs that need homes, and right now it's time. Time is our enemy right now,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping we can do something. I'm going to reach out to the person in charge of this animal shelter, and we'll have her on our show. And whatever anybody can do to help this animal shelter um, stay in business so these 50 dogs don't get put down, you know, like I said in the beginning of the show, rescue an animal.
Mhm.
You don't need to buy one from a breeder. You know, Odin is one. The other two, Apollo and Hercules, come from this shelter that we're talking about. I wish I had the information, but why kill off animals that are already lovable and family ready, like Odin? Come here, Odin. Look, he's so comfortable he just lays on the bed.
I know he's just
Odin,
taking a siesta here
Odin,
this afternoon.
come
There
here.
he is. There he is.
Come here, Odin.
And
Come
that's
here.
and I encourage you, anybody who's living in or around the Phoenix, Arizona area
Come
here in
here.
the United States, the link will be in the description of
Come
this
here.
video. If you feel so inclined to reach out to that shelter, give a donation,
Come
help
here.
them stay in business, or
Come
even
here.
better, if you're looking to
Come here.
adopt a dog right now, or
Come
whatever
here.
other animals are at that shelter,
Come here.
please make a beeline for that shelter and make sure you
Look at
adopt
this
your
lovable face.
yeah.
Look at this lovable face. Can you believe they were going to put this animal down?
No, I can't. That's criminal. That's absolutely
Oh my
criminal.
gosh. Look at this guy. He's only two,
I know. Look at him.
and he's 120 pounds. He's going to reach 180.
Healthy guy. And there are plenty of other healthy dogs out there that need a home. So get yourself to the Phoenix, Arizona area now. Look at the description of this video and give them a call. If you want to help, if you want to donate to keep them in business, if you want to go and rescue one of their dogs or other animals, do it now, not tomorrow, now. So,
Yeah.
and then Rico,
Right.
any closing statements as we go out?
Yes. My closing statement. What your mind can conceive, your heart can achieve.
Amen. And all things are possible through Christ Jesus who strengthens us. We give honor and glory to our Lord and
Yes.
Savior, Jesus Christ. And happy belated Easter.
Philippians 4:13.
Yep. Amen. Amen. All glory to God through Jesus Christ, his Son. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, I have been the Master Emir, along with my co star, the stylist, Rico Constantino, and of course, Odin,
Odin,
Great Dane.
look at
We,
him. Look at
uh,
that face.
I
Look
know.
at that face. Come here.
Make sure you lay the
Come
smack
here.
down on the subscribe button, like the videos, and share them. We'll see you next week.